the decks have gone up in the past. And we certainly, there's certainly 2 piles of deck lists in the back room that were hopefully not thrown away last night.
Here
we go.
Will Ding keep these 6?
Yes, he will.
Didn't have to think long about that. Karsten leaves to become the play tap land, and Ding plays an island.
I'm sure Karsten realized that Ding had 3 lands in that opening hand because he flicked them to the right of his hand pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's a tell that most people miss, but there are definitely people who track where you hold your cards in your hand. And if you always shuffle your land to the right, then they always know how many lands you have in your hand. It's actually part of the reason why you see a lot of experienced players constantly shuffling the cards in their hands. They recognize that if they have any pattern, they need to obliterate it. They need to make sure they're not giving information away, so they just constantly shuffle them. It eventually becomes this unconscious nervous tick that you couldn't even stop if you wanted to.
And I'm sure people think you can't pick up that information, but you only need to look at Karsten in game 1 to show, where he just knew, he was picking up, on the way Ding was playing and the decision thing was making with his top, exactly what was in his hand and what was on top of his deck.
Right. That's definitely something that good players are able to do. Whew.
Early
Turn 4 Northtree against Frank Karsten, who only had 5 cards for this draw.
Was one of those 5 cards Wrath of God?
No.
Looks
Yes.
like it was.
Karsten, 18, go long.
Ooh, 2 City of Brass opened in the Arabian Nights packs. That's not bad.
2 City of Brass is very nice.
Arabian Nights Cities of Brass are pretty. I think that was a disappointed photographer coming over. He was over there to get the reaction shot when somebody busted a library. Didn't happen.
Yeah, Craig had the look of a lawyer who sees that nobody's hurt at a car accident.
Craig Gibson, a Pro Tour photographer. He's really good.
Oh, he's fantastic.
There's a lot of great pictures up in the coverage for this weekend.
I'm so glad that he's going to be at every Pro Tour next year.
Should be good. All right. Ding lost his Northtree,
but
has a Jushi apprentice now.
I was a little confused for a second because we saw the 2 City of Brass. And I thought that was Karsten's opening hand for a second, and I'm like, how could that be? And Ding looks like he has the hand to take this to game 5.
Yeah, I agree. Karsten not looking great right now.
Karsten has to deal with the Jushi. And then there's a Moloku coming up after that.
Various people are predicting who's going through to the finals.
Who seems to be the popular choice here?
Lord Foz has Akira Asahara as your world champion, beating Kaji in the finals.
Well, Asahara's deck isn't really affected by Glare of Subdual, so. And Form of the Dragon is
it's true. Enduring Ideal certainly seems like it should be good against the Gazi Glare decks. Now, he won't see one till the finals, though. He's going to have to beat the winner of this matchup first.
So I think he would rather see Karsten advance here than...
I would think so, but then I'm also not sure how that match plays out.
Well, he's not happy about the cranial extractions in either player's sideboard.
Right. And I mean, I think Karsten has the ability to sort of... Is that combo versus combo where they're racing? Is that how that plays out? One guy's got a couple mana leaks, the other guy's got a couple extractions, but other than that, they would just race?
I think Karsten tries to become a beatdown deck. He tries to accelerate into dragons and draw a bunch of cards and keep him locked down.
Wow, Asahara, I would think would be happy about that.
Well, I mean, if he gets Yosei going for a couple turns.
Because he'll play a land this turn, right? Okay. Good. Go.
Karsten certainly has plenty of lands on his 5-card hand. Just resolved the Farseek. He's up to 8 lands in play now. But that Jushi Apprentice has got to pull Ding ahead. Karsten doesn't come up with some business relatively quickly. What is it with the Dutch at the World Championships, by the way? Julian Mountain won last year. Vandelot won in Toronto. Just seems like they win this tournament more than they win the other Pro Tours.
Well, when I interviewed Julian for the column just about his year as the world champion a couple weeks ago, he said that the Dutch were very, very good with established metagames. You know, he felt that they did very well. You know, you come into Worlds and there's generally an established metagame for both formats. And they're able to make some really good decisions about the two constructor formats. They're always solid drafters. So
Karsten plays a Wrath of God. Needs to get that Juicy Apprentice off the board before Ding fills up his hand.
And Juicy has to go away.
Yeah, Ding does get to draw one card. Is it a counter?
Well, I think he
has a hinder in his hand. Does he have 2 blue? I might have thought that. What do you think?
I'm not sure. I think he has 2 blue. I certainly would have thought that.
He definitely had 2 blue if he does not draw a card, and he's got a Mycoast. He could have used Tendo Ice Bridge to play the hinder there, and he chose not to. And now he's not even playing Moloku, because he's sitting on Moloku. He's got hinder and Moloku in his hand, and he's choosing to leave up hinder mana because he doesn't have enough to play both. But you know what? If he had Juicy Apprentice in play, he could be drawing into the land. Oh, Defense Grid comes out of Frank Karsten's sideboard. That's interesting. Look at Karsten just staring over. He knows that Ding was not expecting that. That wasn't there last game. Where did this come from?
Yeah. That was one of the cards Karsten was talking about.
Ding lets it resolve
out of his sideboard.
Sure. The boards were really interested in the antique booster draft. It's funny, like even with no power cards open in that, like beta uncommons are really valuable, right?
Absolutely, and
I'm sure there's.
Plus the card interactions must be. You must have some really interesting decks.
No, I'm sure it's fun just to play, but I mean, even without the super high profile cards, I'm sure it's an extremely valuable tournament to win.
Open up a beta Hypnotic Spectre.
I mean, beta lands are worth like $10, right? $5, something like that.
Yeah.
Basic lands.
Yeah, the other lands are worth a little bit more.
The dual lands, what is it, $300 for
a beta dual land? Are they that much?
I think the blue ones are.
Wow.
I think it's like non-blue is 200, and it's got blue in it, it's 300.
There's Moloku without the
hinder backup.
Without the hinder backup. Makes a token because he hadn't played land and gets to replay the land.
All right, well, Ding's defenses are down, but he does have a Moloku out. Karsten needs to do something this turn.
Pretty much needs another Wrath.
Is he obliged to kill Moloku right now? I mean, if he could put a...
I mean, he won game 1 with a Moloku and several Moloku tokens in play.
He got the dragon engine going.
He got his dragon. He got his dragon on. Looks like he's going to cast Gifts here. Yep. Main phase Gifts. So I guess if he has the Hanakami engine, can he...
Does he have... He has the Fog?
No, he does not have the Fog.
What does he recurse with Hanakami?
Nah. Pretty much whatever. I mean, he can recur... Last Gasp.
I saw the Hanakami, but I'm not sure exactly.
He can recur the Putrefy. Oh, no, the
Hanakami only gets Arcane cards.
Gets Arcane cards. I guess I don't know what he gets. I guess he just recurs the dragons with a Vengeance. Gets Soul Survival Vengeance going and just gets dragons every turn. Oh, yeah. I guess Kagamaru's probably pretty good here, too.
Sure. This is a main phase gift from Karsten?
This is a main phase gift.
He's got Wrath God and Kagamaru shuffled to the top of his library, and he's trying to figure out what the other cards are.
Glorious Vengeance is certainly one of them. I imagine Soul Survival is the other. Oh, So Vining Top is the 4th.
And Goryo's Vengeance.
Yep, there's the Soul Survival. So how would you split that if you were offered that? What's the best way to split that? Goryo's Vengeance, Soul Survival. Maybe not. Kagamaru and Wrath.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get Kagamaru one way or the other. That's a tough one. I think I'd give him Revival Kagamaru, maybe? For Vengeance Kagamaru? I don't think you want to give him the Revival and the Vengeance, because Displace will let him get up a card out of the trade.
Now it looks like how it's getting split.
And I think the Wrath is just better than Kagamaru, so...
Right.
Yeah, I like that. I think Ding handled that correctly. Oh, and a Hierarch. Karsten with 4 mana left.
Yep.
Didn't get the Wrath of God option, so plays that Laxodon Hierarch. Is that right? If he's gonna be sweeping the board soon? I mean, if he's gonna Kagamaru,
And I guess at that point the Hierarch is just life gain.
right? I'm surprised at that. I guess it didn't seem like his life total was in a position where he needed to run up the Hierarch. Five damage in the air, 3 tokens plus Moloku. That drops Karsten to 17.
So long as a couple counter spells in hand, you can only cast 1 in a turn.
Because of the defense
grid
grid.
in play. Possibly limited by his mana too. I can't quite make them all out.
He's clearly got Hinder ready. Takes all his land to cast it with defense grid in play, but he'll do it. The thing is, Kagamaru's not even 4/4 right now. It's the other reason I don't understand about the Hierarch hitting play. Am I missing something? I'm sure I am.
We'll have to ask Frank about it if you don't. Oh, there's Yosei.
I guess he thinks he can play this beatdown?
Either he's just trying to set up a Yosei lock here. Remember, he's got a Vengeance, Vengeance. So you can get maybe 2 turns.
Ding pays 6, hinders the Yosei.
What's 1 damage? Yeah.
Long 15, Karsten 17.
Okay. Yeah.
Long chose to use his Yahomai Coast for a 2nd blue rather than take a counter up to New Ice Bridge.
Yep. I still would have hindered that Wrath of God and defended my Jushi Apprentice. Maybe I like card advantage too much, but...
Karsten 12.
Another 5 in the air from Ding, drops Frank to 12. Now, Karsten's got to get Kagamaru into play.
Ding has another hinder at the ready.
11, Karsten 12.
So the Goblin King is wondering if there's ever been a Goblin deck that's done well at the Pro Tour.
Oh, yeah.
And Goblin decks have pretty much been all over the place for the past couple of seasons, ever since Pro Tour Venice.
Sure. Scourge was full of such ridiculously good Goblin cards that they took over Standard. They're very good in Extended. They're good in Legacy.
They just won Grand Prix Philadelphia, which was a Legacy tournament. You can find the coverage
all right,
on the past events page.
Karsten goes for Kagamaru, and Ding does indeed use that other hinder.
So So here comes Coriolis Vengeance now. But he might Vengeance a use and play there.
You got the Vengeance, not the Soul Survival?
I believe he got the Vengeance.
Smash. Ding Liang's up to 4 tokens, plus Moloku. That's 6, cutting Frank Carson's life total in half. Carson's down to 6 and basically has 1 turn left to deal with Moloku and all of his flying buddies. There's a Wood Elf. Adel has the ability to trump the Hierarch. Just Ding making sure, might as well thin and might as well make sure nothing crazy happens.
How many cards are in Carson's hand at this point?
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I'm not sure it's 4.
He's probably going to, I assume he's thinking about vengeancing the...
He wants to Vengeance Kagomaro, sack it, clear the board, but I don't know if he has enough cards for that play. It's close. 1, 2, 3. He's only got 3 cards.
Nope.
And no, there's no way out. Frank Carson scoops them up, and wow! Singapore's Ding Liang has taken Game 3 and Game 4. We're playing 1 game to find out who goes to the semifinals.
Will it be Frank Carson or Ding Liang?
Frank Carson.
Greater good or critical mass update?
Frank Carson has been a lot of people's pick to win this tournament. Yesterday I was wandering around doing the podcast asking people, and Frank was the answer I got from most of the people I asked as to who's going to be world champion.
He double mulliganed that game, so that was going to be a tough game for him to win. You still think he should have wrathed that Jushi?
I mean, it worked out for him. Hard to argue with the results. I would have hindered to defend Jushi.
Right.
You're wondering if Frank should even wrath it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he has to.
I think he has to.
Yeah.
I think he has to. I mean, Ding had to come up with multiple hinders.
So we're back to the sideboard game here for Frank.
Sure. By the way, I mentioned the podcast. I hope most of you out there watching the webcast have now also gotten into the habit of watching the podcast, listening to the podcast. Pretty happy with the way that works. I was wandering around all week just sticking a microphone into players' faces and asking them how World was going. I think that podcast is pretty fun content if you just listen to it. And certainly you don't need an iPod. You just, iTunes can play it. I think any audio media player that you have on your computer can play it. So go subscribe to the podcast and check it out. I'm also interested if anybody has suggestions about how I could do a better job with that at the next Pro Tour. I'd love to hear them. That's fine. No problem. There's the trophies. That's what they're playing for.
There's a lot of great names inscribed on that World Championship trophy.
Yeah, both the team trophy and the individual trophy are traveling trophies. So you win it, your name is on it forever. Every Pro Tour that anybody ever goes to for the rest of time, they're going to see your name. Which I think that's just awesome.
So who's the most impressive world champion on that trophy right now?
Finkel. John
Finkel, no question.
Come on.
I mean, obviously I agree. I was just curious what you, maybe we could get an argument going.
I'm supposed to pick Kai?
You don't, I mean, I'll take Kai. I mean, I think it's John, but I'll take Kai just for the sake of argument.
Sure. I mean, I think Kai has put up better results. I mean, you can't argue with the 7 wins, but I think those 7 wins, I think he got a little lucky on Sunday. I'm not saying he isn't one of the best 2 players of all time, but I think John got to Sunday more often, and I think John maybe got a little unlucky on Sunday. Kai maybe got a little lucky. I think they both should have like 3 or 4 wins, and I think if I had to have one player play with my life on the line, obviously I hope I get to pick them in their prime, or I might, if it's tomorrow, I might pick Neil Reeves or somebody who's out here. Kenji certainly would be a fine choice there. But in their prime, I think Finkel in his prime was better.
Well, John's World Championship year is just such an amazing. The 2000 season is just so amazing, and winning the U.S. National Championships, winning the World Championships, and winning the team championships. as the captain of the American squad. I mean, that's
Yeah,
still
I
the
think-
most dominating world performance, and he comes pretty close to winning Player of the Year too. He just loses to Bob pretty narrowly.
Right. Sorry, no arguments.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we're both arguing John here. I mean, certainly not even arguing necessary player, but just in terms of as a world champion, the year that there's a world champion, John's year is just remarkable.
The thing is, too, he's still got the record for most top eights.
And
And by several.
He's shortchanged 2 Pro Tour top eights.
Right. You could certainly argue that his junior top eight should count. The junior Pro Tour in season 1 actually had bigger names than the senior Pro Tour.
I mean, you look at Bob Moore played at that first Pro Tour.
Steve-O,
Finkel.
I mean, the
all
names that we
good
now
Jersey
think of
kids.
the names we now think of as being the stars from those early days, a lot of them just were playing the junior Pro Tour for the first year or two.
They don't get pro points in that. Although those events count, do those events count towards their lifetime earnings?
I believe the money is credited in the career winnings list, but the top eights, and there were no pro points available, and the top eights are not counted in the top 8 list.
Right.
So,
So that's,
Finkel's got Kai by a couple of top eights and should have him by a couple more.
Right, and he's more than double anyone on the list except for Kai and Darwin.
Yeah, Darwin's
if
got
you
like
count
8.
his 2, right? Because the next person on the list is
It's at
6,
6.
which is Gabriel Nassif.
Yep.
All right, we're back.
Game 5. Both players keep their opening draw this time.
Karsten
leads with a top. Ding leads with a Llanowar Elf. Karsten tops into...
looks like he tops as a defense grid.
Huh.
Nope, it's just lands.
2 lands and a reshuffle. It's
Yeah.
not unreasonable. His hand is another reshuffle and land. He needs some
He's got a gift sign given. He'll
Oh,
find
good.
threats.
Okay.
And he's got a Yosei, which he's going to get his mana ramped up to in pretty short order. Looking
Sure.
over at Ding's hand.
Yeah, and he's planning ahead future turns. Like, how quickly am I going to get to do what?
Ding looks like he just has a bunch of lands, an Elder and a Kadama of the North tree. Again, not a
great draw.
Not a terribly great draw here.
It's pretty fast North Tree, though.
See Pierre Canali outside our booth doing a little dance.
Yeah, giving us the thumbs up.
celebrating his Rookie of the Year victory.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Pierre. That's I know you really wanted that. Congratulations.
Yeah, Pierre was actually mentioning last year going into Worlds, it was another French player, it was Alexandre Pizet that had the lead going into Worlds, that everyone figured, oh, of course Pizet's going to win. And then Julian Mountain comes out of nowhere to pass him and steal the title from France.
And had Marcio, it would have even been more dramatic this year. If
It would have been a
Marcio
tie.
had won, it would have been a